يا وهاب يا غني. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله الحمد لله. بسم الله. The adhan list as well. So for what the adhan, okay? الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. 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 الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة والسلام وبعث رب اغفر لي ولي رب اغفر لي ولي رب اغفر لي ولي رب اغفر لي. اللهم انصرنا في الآخرة. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين. Amin, amin, ya Rabbal Alamin. Alhamdulillah. Bismillah. So actually, I wanted to start after I prayed Asar. The Adhan just came in here in Tarim. Asar is 2 o'clock. Exactly now is Asar. But my husband is not home yet, so I'm waiting for him to. I'm waiting for him to. No, my husband is home, but he's not. He's having a class, so I'm gonna wait for him to pray with me later, lah. Inshallah. Okay, so Bismillah. We're continuing with our class, and we are at the Ummahatul Mahasin Akhlaq. As Ummahatul Mahasin Akhlaq. I basically the other like the mothers said Ummahat will be mean mothers, are the mothers of the of good character. As a mother meaning the source. So in Arabic when we say Hada Ummu Sunnah or Ummul Kitab, or you say Mahasin Akhlaq, right? Then the source good character, right? If you've been following Fiqh Hawla classes, I've been mentioning about Ummahatul Fitan. As Ummahatul Fitan would be the mothers or either the source, right? The word or the word mother has the meaning of source in Arabic, because the mother is the source of society, right? From her comes the entire of society, right? She gives birth, and she gives birth to society. Right, so the word ummahat, it has the meaning of source, right? Source, source. Right, so here he goes into the four main, you say that the source virtues, right? And all virtues come from these four main virtues, and they are you should memorize them: al-hikmah, which is wisdom, right? Al-shuja'ah, which is courage, al-iffa. Al-iffa here is translated to mean integrity. It has also the meaning of dignity and you say modesty. I say integrity, dignity, modesty. It has the meaning of iffa, in the way. And adl is justice. So the last lesson we have taken wisdom, the first of the four, wisdom. And it mentioned also that all of these four traits, like that you see them in perfect in the most perfect form, in the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He perfected all of these four traits. And then the Khulafa or Rashidin, the four caliphs that came after Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidina Abu Bakr, Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Uthman, Sayyidina Ali, each and every one of them, they perfected one. And they had all four traits, yes, right, but they perfected one of the four, right? So wisdom goes to Sayyidina Ali, then you have courage, which goes in Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. Then you have justice, that goes in Umar. And then you have integrity or iffa, and that goes in Uthman. Right, so inshallah we'll go to we'll explain more as we go along. So now today we're on Shuja'ah, right? Shuja'ah, which is courage. And so courage, it is a source of virtue. Right? Because courage is what drives a human being, an individual, right, to stand up what is right. And that is where you say, what is courage. Right? So courage is also someone, who is able to manage their emotions correctly. And there is also a virtue, right? It is a virtue. I do not, fly into an emotion and then become reckless with your emotion. I fly into rage or fly into, like different forms of negative emotions to just be rash about it. Right? These are all signs of, someone who does not have good character. Right? They're unable to control their emotions. Right? To be able to control your emotions, right, is a sign of, of good character, the sign of, of the righteousness of an individual. Right? So, subhanAllah, right? Let me just can someone Zafar, can keep people muted. Goodbye. Okay. Now, is that okay? Okay. Tamam. All right. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Right. So you have so basically what we can understand here, right, is that when it comes to courage, right, and here he does define what is courage, right? But as a whole, to understand what is courage, it is someone who is very much in control of their emotions and very much in control of their emotions. Yes, they have emotions and yes, they feel things, right? But they are able to channel it well, and they're able to understand where the emotions are coming from, to know if these emotions are right or wrong. And yes, there are right and wrong emotions. There are. Definitely there are. We're in a zaman whereby they validate all emotions, and I don't know what they do with emotions. But there are emotions that are right and there are emotions that are wrong. There are, right? You can do wrong with your feelings. You can. Right. So like for example, if someone has jealousy, right, towards something that is not their right to have jealousy about, right? They have no right to have this kind of emotions. It's not correct. Right. So if your child has jealousy towards his sibling or towards his classmate, ouch, right, towards his classmate, like who is doing well in school, striving hard and doing well in school and everything, and your child has jealousy towards the classmate, of course you don't validate that emotions, right? I mean, these wrong emotions. You shouldn't be having, jealousy towards someone just because they're doing well, or doing better than you, right? Also there are negative emotions, positive emotions, correct emotions, wrong emotions, right? And that is why in Islam, you are guided, and the Sharia guides us as to what is correctly and what you should feel, and what is correct to be, what is correct to be felt, is in circumstances and situations, and from there it leads you to behaving in a correct manner, right? So you do what is correct, right? Because your emotions are guiding. I mean, your emotions will be guiding you, right? In what is correct. That is basically what it is. Right? So that is where you have courage. This is Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, right? He has, mashallah, he has the highest courage amongst the Sahaba, amongst the companions of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Of course, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has higher than him. And the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he has hilm, right? Which is something that is of the highest form, of, you see, under courage. Right? Hilm, basically, Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he is in full control of his emotions. Then no matter what happens to him, right, he's able to analyze situation, right, look at the reality of what's happening, right, and then make calculated steps, right? This is mashallah. If someone is able to do this throughout your life, mashallah, right? Tabarakallah. I mean, I would say, mashallah, this person she has very good character. That you're able to just look at situation, right? Not respond in a rash manner, right? Not rush into it. You look at it, you analyze it, right? And then you take calculated steps. That is good character. That is good character. Right? But it requires a person to be in full control of their emotions. Right. And that is a feat, right? That is a feat. There is a it's training, right? It's training. You need to be trained on that. Right. So here he says here الشجاعة هو هي ضبط قوة الغضب حتى حتى ينقاد للعقل والدين فيغضب لله تعالى. Right, so he says here, so what is courage? Right, so one definition here, it is controlling. Is how well a person is able to control his anger, or the power of anger within oneself, until it becomes subservient to the intellect, right, and the religion, and expressing and suppressing anger only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So as last week I mentioned that anger, right, is not, intrinsically a bad emotion. It's not, right? Because anger is required in circumstances, of course. Right? So when you see oppression happening, when you see, injustice happening, there should be anger boiling in an individual, right, for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So it shouldn't be Allah Muhammad. Right? So it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be in a way whereby, sorry, right? It shouldn't be like in a way for your nerves, because that is where the anger is wrong. Right? But it should be in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is anger for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And last week I mentioned a few examples of when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed anger. Right? He showed anger for in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? When his adopted grandson, Osama bin Zaid, right, when he killed a man after the man had said La ilaha illallah, right, on battlefield, and he still killed the man anyway, right, claiming that the man only said it, right, to escape from the sword, I mean, to escape from being killed. And Rasul, he got very angry of Sayyidina Osama bin Zaid, right, that he did that, because how do you know that the man was not sincere in his shahada? How do you know that? And who are you to say that he was not sincere? Right, so Rasul, he got very angry about that. Right, he assumed, right, he was only saying it to escape from the sword. You assume that, right? And also the other time, same person, Zainul means it also, right? He received the anger of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? When he tried to intercede, right? On behalf of a family that was, a more rich and more powerful family, amongst the Arabs, and one of their people had stolen, right? One of the women in his family had stolen, and so the laws of Islam is to be applied onto her, right? Which was to cut off the hand. Right? She had stolen in a way whereby she fulfilled all of the the conditions that were required for the hand to be cut off. Right? So the family, they're not used to it. Right? The Arabs, even our Zaman, you mentioned same thing, right? People are not used to it. That if you are from a high family, if you are like rich, they're so used to being above the law, right? But Rasulullah will not hear of it. I know such thing as anybody being above the law. Right? So he, to the point, he even said if it was his own daughter who had done that, of course she would never do it. But he said if his own daughter, because the lady who did it, her name was Fatima. Right? So she said if it was Fatima, my Fatima, Fatima bin Nabi Muhammad, he was if she did it, her hands would be cut off too. Right? Nobody is above the law. Right? So Rasulullah, she got angry with Zainab Osama bin Zaid for trying, right, to speak on behalf of his family, right, and they're trying to be above the law, and that is not fair, and that is injustice, right, because the Arabs, they were so used to the weak and the poor, right, receiving, right, the full extent of the law, while the rich and the powerful get away with their bad deeds, right? So of their crimes. Right? The Arabs were so used to that. Even up to our Zaman, same thing. Every human society, the same thing. The common person, right, gets the full end of the law, right? But the rich and the powerful, right, those people in position, right, they are above the law. Right, same thing, exact same thing in our Zaman. Like right now, it's a manifestation of it in a country, right? In an entire, you say, fake country, like in Israel. They are like, because they control the economy of the world, right? They control the economy of the world, so therefore they very well put themselves above the law, right? Subhanallah, but they are not above Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Allah will handle His creation and what they are doing. Right. So integrity is the ability to restrain oneself from indulging is one. Courage is controlling the power of anger within oneself until it becomes subservient to the intellect. So your intellect, control so that this anger, right, it works hand in hand with intellect, right? Meaning it is being controlled by the intellect. The anger becomes subservient to the intellect, it is controlled by the intellect, and is controlled by the religion, and expressing and suppressing anger to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ouch! Sorry, my cat bit me. Muhammad. Allahumma sayyidina Muhammad. So it is so you express anger, and when it's due. When it is due, you express anger. Right? So there is, as you mentioned, there is a need for the expression of anger. Right? And you suppress anger when the anger is not warranted. Right? So if someone gets angry, about something, it is not your right to get angry. right? It's not your place to get angry, but you got angry about it, right? Then you should know, okay, you know what? This is not a place for me to get angry. And I have no right to get angry about this thing right here, right? So you need to, so that's where the intellect comes in. And that's also where the religion comes in. So the deen teaches you that, you know what? You have no right to be angry about this. This is not your business. This is not your matter, right? You know, and then the deen, teaches you, right, to suppress your anger. And it is a form of, um, it is a form of righteousness and high character. Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he had that. Of course, Rasulullah was a foremost in that. And in fact, the parts whereby they will suppress their anger is when it was to do with their own rights. Right? So they will suppress their anger. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a very famous story of a Jewish rabbi who wanted to test if Rasulullah SAW was indeed a prophet. And he said that when he narrated the story, right, he said that he had seen all the signs of prophethood, right, in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, except one sign, which was a sign of Hilm. And sign of Hilm, basically, the more someone behaves in an ugly manner towards you, the better you are towards that person. Oh, very, very high character. It is really hard, right, to treat those who treat you badly, to treat them well. It is very hard, like, especially when you treat your family badly, you treat your loved ones badly, and then Islam calls you to treating them well. Oh, subhanallah. But this is a prophetic trait. It is a prophetic trait that the righteous, they have it, and they have this trait. Right? So, mashallah, so this man, right, so he was looking for an opportunity to test this trait of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because it is one of the traits of prophets, right? They are people that the worse you are to them, the better they are to you, mashallah. Right? And we should try our best. I'm just advising myself first and foremost to try my best, really, no matter what they have done, no matter what they have said, no matter what they have, how they treated you, I really, mashallah. It is of good character to let go, to not play in your head over and over again. It's of good character to just, you know what, you are called to good character by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you will show good character to everybody around you. You be good to everyone around you and nice to them and respectful to them, regardless of how they have treated you. And that is good character. That is shuja'ah, that is shuja'ah. That's really where it's at, okay? So, subhanAllah, so anyway, this man, he finally found an opportunity when there was a poor person that came up to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and asked Rasulullah to help him, to feed his family. And so Rasulullah himself is a poor person, and he looked around to the companions and he said, anyone here able to lend me, lend a loan to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam some food, right, to give to this poor person, and he will pay the guy back. And it was something that the Prophet ﷺ and even the companions used to do when they had no money or they had no food, and people in need came up to them and asked, for assistance. They would actually borrow, right? They would actually borrow from those who had food or had money, right? And then just to be able to feed the one who is in need. So this Jewish man, he was there, was Ibn Sama, his name, right? He was there, and he's oh Muhammad, he was a Jew at that time, right? He said, oh Muhammad, I am able to lend you, what you need of food, right? And that you pay me back in this amount of time. And so of course Rasulullah, he accepted, and he took the food and he gave it to the poor person, right? And and he said, okay, the amount will be paid to you, right, when it's due. Right. So before it was due, before it was due, this Jewish, rabbi, and he did it on purpose, and he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right, and he grabbed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by his shirt, to the point that he grabbed Rasulullah so hard, right, that he caused a red mark, right, to appear on the blessed neck of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he grabbed him, right, by his shirt, by his collar, right, and he pulled him in a very hard, in a very rough manner, and caused for a red mark to form on his neck. Right? And he said, in a very hard, and he did it on purpose, to test Rasulullah. He said, oh Muhammad, pay me what you owe me. And in fact, this was before the amount was due. It was before the amount was due. He said, pay me what you owe me. Oh, but I know you, Bani Hashim and Bani Muttalib, and there's the family of Rasulullah. He said, I know you are from that family. They never pay their debts. Right? Oh, mashallah. So he went from being rough and from being unfair, right, to demand for the for the debts to be paid before the debt was due. This being unfair. And number three, insulting the family. Right? What's with you insulting my family? Right? Don't insult my family. Right? But mashallah, he wanted to push every button, just push everything to try and tip the Prophet over and make him lose his temper, right? Or make him lose his cool, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. But he's a prophet. It's not possible for him to lose their cool. They don't. They just don't. So Sayyidina Umar was there. Sayyidina Umar, he lost his cool. He did. Sayyidina Umar, he was there. He saw what this guy did. Like he pulled out his sword straight away. Sayyidina Umar. He pulled out his sword and he said, Ya Rasulullah, give me the word, and I will strike the neck of this, of this enemy of Allah, because the guy was not a Muslim. Right? So he said, I was strike the neck of his enemy of Allah. And saying that, and the Rasulullah said to Sayyidina Umar, oh, Umar, put your sword away. Khalas. Put your sword away. Right? And in fact, you, Umar, you should have just, a better way of handling the situation was to just say to me, Ya Rasulullah, pay your debt. And say to this guy, and next time when you want to ask for your debt, ask nicely. Okay? That was the correct way to do it, right? There's no need to pull out your sword and threaten to kill someone, or Omar, right? The correct way is just to advise me to pay my debts and advise this guy to be nice next time. Okay, that's all the situation required. You see what courage is, right? To be able to look at the situation and see what's required. All that's required is advice, okay, Omar? That's all that's required, And then Rasul said, Omar, go and take this man, and pay his debts. Okay, go and pay his debt. So Sayyidina Omar took the man, to his house, and he paid the debt in full, to the man, and then he paid extra, extra to the man. And the guy was like, what's with this extra amount that you're paying me, in food? And then he said, Omar said, well, Rasulullah, it is from the instructions of Rasulullah to give you extra as compensation for frightening you just now. Right? So it's like punishment, Sayyidina Umar. You frightened the guy, okay, by pulling out your sword. Okay, so compensation. You need to compensate for frightening the guy. Right? And so compensation for frightening you just now, he told me to give you extra. And the man said, Umar, do you know who I am? And then Umar said, no, I don't. And the man said his name. He said, Zama. Right? And then Umar, he knew the name. He knew the name, but never knew the face of the person. Right? So he said, you, aren't you one of the most knowledgeable of the Jews? Like, what caused you to behave in that way? You're supposed to be, an alim of the Jews, right? You're supposed to be the most knowledgeable of the Jews. And he said, yes, I am one of the scholars of the Jews. I am. And I behaved in that way because I was trying to test, your prophet, wasallam, that, all of the signs of the last prophet I have seen manifest in him, except the sign whereby the worse someone treats him, the better he treats them. So I was looking, to test him on that, and I found an opportunity to test him. And subhanallah, he showed like his excellent character, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That not only did he just pay the guy off, not only did he not argue with the guy saying that the debt's not due, not only did he not say anything about the guy being rough to him, or insulting his family. Nothing of that was said. All he did was say that Omar, pay the guy and pay him extra because you frightened him. Like, so this is character that's like, it's beyond us. Like how many of us will control your mouth and like not say a single thing about how rough the guy was? I mean, you would at least say to the guy, hey, what's wrong with you? Just ask nicely, like, what's wrong with you? Or like, why must you insult my family? Like, what's the insulting my family? Well, like, what's wrong with you? Why must you grab me by my shirt? Just tap my shoulder. Good enough, right? You don't have to grab my shirt, and drag me in that way, right? But mashallah, or even say like, we have 2 more days before my debt is due, okay? Like, why are I mean, how many of us like so quick to say something, right? I mean, subhanallah, and you have the right. You actually have the right to do so. We have the right to, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying a higher character is the character of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he just let it slide, and he showed a higher character, and that inspired people to be better, So anyway, the man to Shahada, I became a Muslim by the beautiful character of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this occurred over and over and over again. in the life of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But to bring another story, how I should tell the story, about the Habaib, the scholars that came after Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, especially in the Ahlul Bayt, especially in the family of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. You will see great character over and over and over again, right? So, subhanallah, there was this Habib, right, that he was, and there are many of them, many examples I can give to you. So there was Habib, whereby, and it shows how they would, show good character to those who showed them bad character, right? So he was walking, on the streets, and at the time there was like, people who hated, the scholars, the communists had come, right? They had polluted, or corrupted the minds of the people. So this person who hated, this particular Habib was walking on the street. And so he was over in his house, on his balcony. This is this guy, on his balcony. And he, as the Habib walked past, he spat. Okay, he spat like a huge amount of phlegm and saliva on the face, on the head of the Habib, as he walked past. No reason or cause, nothing. Just spat at him, out of hatred. And there are people who are like that in this world. Right? So he spat. And Habib, okay, khalas, he didn't say anything. He's continued on his way. He washed off, he wiped it off, he washed off. There was no need to address this person who did that. And honestly, think about it, getting angry, right? It doesn't do anything. People who want ouch, people who want to be, mean, they want to trigger that anger in you. They actually want to trigger that anger in you. Right? If you're gonna be mean, the best way to handle mean people is to carry on your way. That's the best way to handle mean people. Just carry on, Bismillah, carry on your way, shrug it off, continue with your life. Okay? Continue with your life, khalas, and that gives you a peace of mind. You shrug it off, don't think about it. It's not worth your emotions, not worth your thoughts. Just carry on. So the Habib did. But the guy, he was leaning over on his balcony when he slipped and he fell out of his balcony. He fell off. He fell, over, and he fell from that height to the ground and died on the spot. Subhanallah, Subhanallah. I mean, it was such a shocking thing that happened. He just slipped and he fell, you know, from his balcony, and he fell to the ground and he died there on the spot. Right. So then the people, like, they went to the Habib, and they said to the Habib that so and so, the guy who spat on you this morning, right, when you left, he actually slipped and he fell off his balcony and he died. Right? And the Habib, he came to the house of this guy. This is exactly the same sunnah of Rasulullah. He brought his own, his own perfume. He brought his own, materials. He brought a kafan cloth from himself. He brought his own bukhur and so on and so forth. And he himself washed the janazah of this guy. And he himself, like perfumed the janazah and shrouded the janazah. And he himself prayed over the person and buried the person. And no grudge, no hatred, nothing. They went out of their way and they gave from their own materials. They gave from their own wealth, right, to give this Muslim who passed away the best, you would say, best treatment for a janazah. Subhanallah. This is really, Subhanallah. It's not even a word of saying, he deserves it. See, he's like leaning out his balcony, spitting at people. See, now he slipped, right? He slipped and he fell. Right? And I mean, no such words lah. Of saying such a thing, against this person. And imagine, and I can tell you stories. Oh, I can tell so many stories. Never ending, from Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, from the Sahaba, from the Ahlul Bayt, from the righteous, the scholars. So many stories of people who have been ill-treated by other people, and they showed good character. All of this fall under the category of shuja'ah, of traits, of courage, to control themselves and to place their anger subservient to their intellect and their religion. Right? So you think, is there any worth in me losing my temper? But mashallah, it takes a level to actually to stop yourself to ask that question, right? Is there any point in me losing my temper? Is this righteous in the religion for me to lose my temper? Should I, act emotionally right now? Is there any point or any benefit in me being emotional right now? MashaAllah. I mean, the one who's able to do that is in and of itself, you have some, level of good character to be able to hold yourself when you're so triggered. Like we're in a zaman of people saying, I'm so triggered, and they're always so triggered, right? Stop being triggered, we need to stop being triggered, right? But look at situation and analyze it well, and then respond well, right? MashaAllah, right? وَيَكْظِمُ الْغَيْظَ لِلَّهِ تَعَالَى. And so they control their anger for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَهَذِهِ هِيَ الْقُوَّةِ. And this is what is true strength. هذه هي القوة. This is what is true strength. قال عليه وآله الصلاة والسلام. Rasulullah, he said that ما تعدون سرعة فيكم. So he asked the question, who amongst yourself do you consider a true wrestler? Right? I mean, who is really a true wrestler? That means a strong person. He said, قلنا الذي لا تسرعه رجال. Actually, he said, the one that nobody can beat. He's the one who's undefeated. And the Rasulullah, he corrected them and said, لَيْسَ بِذَلِكَ. It is not, ouch, sorry, okay. Ya Allah. Bismillah. Ouch. Okay. Allah. Okay, Bismillah, Bismillah. Sorry, they are finding it fun to bite my toes. Ya Allah. Okay, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Where are we? Now, right, so he said that, ليس بذلك ولكن السرعة الله ولكن السرعة الذي يملك نفسه عند الغضب. Right, so he said, no, right, a true strong person or a true wrestler, he is the one who's able to control himself when he is angry. Right, so to extend this, when he is triggered, to control yourself when you are triggered. And subhanallah, I always hear people say things about, but I'm just going to bottle up. I'm going to bottle up. I'm going to bottle up. I'm going to bottle up. Then one day I'm going to burst. People say that, right? And the response here is, why are you bottling? Why can't you dismiss? There's a big difference here there, okay? Right? So bottling is you having an emotion, right? And keeping it. Why are you doing that? Why are you keeping negative emotions? You're the one suffering, You are making yourself suffer by keeping negative emotions. It's like, someone did something, and then maybe like to make it physically, to see it physically, right? It's like someone did something and they stabbed you physically, okay? Stabbed you. Keeping emotions is like leaving the knife there, you know? Oh, leave the knife there. I'm not going to say anything about this, but I'm going to leave the knife there. That's not being smart, right? I mean, you're just hurting yourself by leaving a knife there. That's exactly what you're doing when you keep emotions. You're going to keep it up. You're going to keep it inside, keep it inside, keep it inside. I'm so bottled up. It's like, and people, when I speak to people and they are going through marriage problems and they be like, it's not like it's small things, It's like many small things all coming together and all like, piling up, piling up, piling up. And I will say to them, why do you allow it to pile up? That's the question. Why was it piling up? Why couldn't you just let it go? Let it slide. Come on. All right. There is a form of good character, okay? Let it slide. The piling up, you're doing it. You're making it pile up, right? You're allowing it to bear its weight on your back. You are allowing that to happen to you. So of course, you break after a while. You break your back after a while because you're allowing your back to be piled onto, right? And things to pile onto your back. This is your fault, I would say, right? Because you have the choice, a decision to let go. You actually have the decision to say, I'm not going to be upset about this. I'm not going to carry this emotion inside of myself. I'm not going to carry this anger in me, right? I'm just going to let it slide. Well, khalas. And how Aisha, she would say, like, like, say, oh, eyes, you didn't see. Say, oh, ears, you didn't hear. Say, oh, heart, you didn't feel. And it says, like, you know what? I'm going to pretend it never happened. Well, khalas. And I'm going to dismiss it. I'm going to erase this from my memory, and erase it from myself. It can be done. It actually, it's how I live my life, Penny. It can be done. It can be done. You can. You can just, erase all of that. Just erase all of that, right, from yourself. You can, right? So you choose to leave the knife there. But what you can do is pull the knife out and throw it away. Right? And then, the healing happens and it goes away, right? But if you just like, oh, you're holding it, you're gonna hold it, you're gonna hold it, you're gonna hold it, you're gonna hold it. Then after what you burst out, of course, lah. You're gonna burst because you keep holding it. Right. So it's not a matter of bottling up. People think that, oh, I'm gonna have good character, I'm gonna control myself, I'm not gonna say anything, and then what they end up doing? They end up bottling up. Right? They're bottling up, they're keeping it inside of themselves, right? And they are, just carrying it in themselves. That's not exactly good character. That isn't. Because that actually will bring a bigger harm later, either to yourself as trauma, right? Or to someone else when you finally burst, right? So that's actually not good character. The Prophet never did that. He never actually bottled up his emotions, but he let go. He let go. So it goes into thin air, right? It disappears into thin air. It's a skill. It's a skill. And if we can train ourselves to do that, right? Whenever someone wrongs you or does something to you, right? To train yourself, to say to yourself, you know what? Okay, I'm over this. Colors. Right? No more emotion. Okay, I'm over this. It is it is a training, lah. It's a training. This is why it's a form of good character. Because it's not there anymore. And you live your life, positively and happily. Because you're able to just, you know what, I don't want to be shackled or to be chained by these, emotions. I don't want to. I want to choose not to. You're gonna choose not to and be shackled by them. Right? I'm gonna choose it to release them into the air. Okay, let them float up like a helium balloon, float up and go away and disappear. Okay, what colors? Okay, I do it that way. It takes, I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, but I'm saying that once we have understood that that's the way to go, you begin to strive towards that, and you begin to train yourself on that. And that's how good character is a thing, right? That when bad things happen, you're able to just go past it and not carry it with you. Are you able to just go past it, right? And then it makes you stronger, alhamdulillah. But don't let it carry it with you as a burden. Just Bismillah, go past it. Okay, go past it. Inshallah. Alhamdulillah. I hope you all are, understanding what I'm saying. Inshallah, it can. I don't know. I hope that it doesn't sound impossible to you all. It's not impossible. It can be done. Okay, it can be done. Right? People think that, oh, don't bottle up. That means I'm going to express every single thing that I feel. I would say no. I would say no. I would say don't express and don't bottle up, because expressing sometimes, and many times, in fact, especially depending on who you're expressing to, can lead to more problems and more harm and more, pain and more disappointment and more argument and more difficulty. Right? Haven't you? Have you ever felt that when you express something, sometimes that it just got worse? It does, right? Sometimes, I mean, a lot of times I feel it just gets worse, especially if the person whom you're going to express to is not going to receive it well. It's just going to get worse, right? I mean, you know it. Whether it's your parents or your husband or even like your close friends, even, sometimes, there are people, right? Expressing how you feel is not going to get you anywhere. It's not. It's just going to make things worse, and they're gonna say more stuff to make you feel even worse. True, right? Isn't that true? I mean, of course, Allah is okay lah. Express to Allah Subhanahu. And you don't even have to express to Allah. Allah knows, yani. Allah, and then the dua of Shaykh Muhammad Salim. When you say to Allah, Ya Allah, hajatuna kathiru anta alim biha wa khabir. Oh Allah, we have many needs, Ya Allah, and you know all of it. Ya Allah, you know all of my needs, you know my issues, you know my problems, my emotions. You can express to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like, if you want to, it's up to you. But I do feel that doing that makes you triggered even more. Do you feel that? I mean, it does to me, whenever I run things in my head to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yes, about like certain injustices that happen to me, people doing certain things to me, whatsoever. It does work me up again. I get worked up. All over again, I get worked up. Do you all not feel that way? That you're working yourself up again. Like, halas, it passed by, you finish, you're carrying on. Then you're like, you play it again in your heart. Like, then she did this, and she said that. Then, ya Allah, she did all of these things. And you kind of woke up again. Like, you relive the entire bad experience. Right, right. You should relive the entire thing. Why do you do that to yourself? Why? Why do you allow yourself to suffer like that? To keep reliving things in you? Don't do that. Look ahead. It's a bright future, Bismillah. Right? It's a happy, you're gonna choose that for yourself. Okay? So Allah knows, what's going on with you, or He knows. I don't know if it makes you feel better. For me, it does make me feel worse because I relive the entire negative emotion. Imam Ghazali speaks about this self-talk, where you keep talking to yourself about bad things that happen. It actually makes it worse for you, makes your heart harder. It hurts you more. It's like you stabbing yourself over and over and over and over and over again when the stabbing already happened one time, but you keep doing it and it makes your heart hurt again and again and again. But you are doing it to yourself. You. And why do you do that? Right? Right. So it's a question here that what does it mean to let go when things happen? Meaning that this is life, bad things happen, isn't it? It's life. Bad things happen. Bad people are all around you. They are. Bad people are all around you. They could be right in your family. It could be right in even your own relatives, your own close family members. They are everywhere around you. If you're gonna beat yourself up every single time that you were badly treated, you can't live in this life. You can't. Right? But if you know how to just like dismiss matters, things happen, people said things, but did things. You know what? I only care about my state with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I care about that. I care about me fulfilling my duties, my responsibilities, right? Me fulfilling, my role as a Muslim, as a Muslimah, as a wife, as a mother, as a, whatever you are, a daughter, right? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna focus on that. People not being happy with me and people, smearing my name and reputation whatsoever, khalas. You know, sub them do what they want to do. Right? Allah knows my matter and Allah knows my state. But khalas. Okay? In that way. That's what it means by dismissing it. Dismissing it. Right? Just weigh it. Is it worth the emotion? Is it worth the anger? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the stress? Is it worth it? I tell you, I would say 99% of the time or 100% of the time, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Right? You have a peace of your mind, mashallah. Okay? So here's the question here. Would this way or Prophet Sallallahu way? Allah, he you know what? People's behavior, right, belongs to them. You know what that means? People's behavior is their behavior. It's not your problem, honestly. It's their behavior, especially the adults. You want to try and change them, try lah, try and change adults. Try your best to try to change adults. Yeah, I mean, the only way to change a person is if they were to listen to classes regularly and they get programmed, right? That's the only way. If you go head on trying to advise someone to change their ways, I will tell you almost 100% of the time it does not work. It will not work, especially if they are close to you, right? They will just brush you off, or they will even or they might lash back at you and make things worse. Okay, right? So I would say that if people are, if they are ostracizing you, they smear your reputation, you try to reconcile with them. You do your part. You give salams. You see them with salams wa khalas. Um, you do have a choice. You do have a right to, if you want to not be close to them because they are people that you can't trust. You have that right. You have that right because they are not trustworthy people, or they have their issues, right? You have that right. But be nice to everybody. Khalas. That's all. Right? Give salam to them, you see them, give salam to them. If you need help, help them in whatever way. Right? That's all. That's all I would say. That's all. It's easy. It's not hard, okay? It's easy. Right. Yeah. Right. If you have a gathering with your close family, a gathering, invite them, just send an invite. They might not come, it's up to them, right? But you do your part. Yeah, khalas, khalas. Keep it simple. Right? Don't think so much about it. If they come, they don't come, it does not matter. It really does not matter. Right? Khalas, you do your part. Okay? If they want to continue with their bad mouthing, may Allah guide them. You forgive them. You forgive them in your heart. Right? You forgive them what they have done. That's it. That's all we have to say. MashaAllah. I hope that answers the question. So he says here that so other qualities derived from courage includes chivalry. Let me read Arabic here. So وتفرع من هذه النجدة والكرم والشهامة وكسر النفس والحلم. مش ده حلم والاحتمال ما شاء الله والثبات وكظم الغيظ والوقار وغيرها. So the traits that come from here, from this trait of courage, right, is basically, you can see here, it's chivalry, right? It means having a high standard of character. That is chivalry, right? Having a very high standard of character. So don't stoop down to being lowly, right? Just because other people around you are being lowly. Khalas, you're gonna maintain a high level of character, generosity, or nobility, magnanimity, the ability to oppose your lower self, because your lower self wants to get back at people. That's what lower self wants to do. No, you're gonna fight it. I fight it and say, no, halas, I'm happy the way I am. I don't need to get back at people. Right? You don't need to, let's just let things slide, you know. Be easygoing. That's the entire thing. Be easygoing, right? Forbearance, right? To be easygoing, and forbearance to be easygoing. Tolerance is from good character. To tolerate bad character is from good character. Steadfastness, right? To be upright and steadfast on your good deeds, right? And suppressing your anger and having dignity, right? In whatever that you do, like choosing correct words, right? So basically, people who are unable to control their tongue, right? And they say undignified words towards each other. That's all forms of bad character, right? So control your tongue. How are you going to speak to people? How are you speaking to people? Control this tongue of yours. Dignity. Hold yourself high in dignity. Don't, stoop. I cannot, oh ya Allah. I cannot stand it, people who are they're adults, and they're still using really bad language. Of course, kids are cannot stand up. Like if kids are using bad language, oh ya Allah, but adults, why do people use bad language? Don't understand it. What's the point in using bad language? And I've heard it with my own ears, I've heard it with my own ears. Adults and even people who are supposed to have religion, right? They use very bad words in their speech. Why? It's completely undignified. You're just reducing yourself. Why? So question, if you're someone, when you're angry, you begin to say bad things and say bad words. Question yourself, why do you do so? Like why? Why can't you speak well? Use good words. Bismillah. All right. So that's number two. There's two more. It's a bit of each effort. العفة هي كف النفس عن الشهوات عند الإشارة بالحكمة والعقل، ويتفرع منها السخاء والحياء والصبر والمسامحة والقناعة والورع واللطافة والمساعدة والطرف وقلة الطمع وغيرها. Right, so integrity, what is integrity? It is the ability to restrain oneself from indulging in carnal desires. I mean, it's lowly, nafs, lowly shahawats, lowly desires, when guided to do so by wisdom and intelligence. Because it is against wisdom, is against intelligence, right, to indulge in lowly matters, right? So qualities of such, of iffah, right, it will be integrity, for example, so generosity, modesty, also to be generous to other people, to be modest, as I mentioned, to be modest, to have patience, forgiveness, contentment with little, scrupulousness. I mean, to have, zuhud, to stay away from the dunya, to be gentle, helpful, graceful, graceful etiquette, and lack of covetousness. That means to have lack of tama. It means not to be greedy or to want what other people have, right? All of this you see very beautifully in Zainal Uthman. Zainal Uthman, he was exactly this. He was a very generous person. Like he was, a very modest person. He had very high patience. Of course, Rasulullah, he had the best of it, right? Forgiveness. They will forgive people so easily. They were easily content. They didn't need much, just a bit of. And they are the people whom Allah described in the Quran, Ibadur Rahman. They are the slaves of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. They tread on this earth, gently. They tread on the earth gently. They're not very, you say, people who go around and they make a scene, or they go around and they, like, they're so loud and so, like very boisterous kind of human beings. No, right? It is a good trait, right, to be someone who is, you say, softer, soft spoken, keep to yourself, the kind of individual. I don't be this loud person, wherever you go. No, be someone, it is from good character. Right? Just like keep to yourself. It is good character. Right? Because it prevents a lot of stepping on other people's toes or hurting other people. It prevents that, right? So the question here about what is a bad word, they say this is stupid or someone is stupid. Not any right. I don't want to say the bad words that people say, but like in the Malay language, even in the Chinese language, in English, there are bad terms. People use bad terms. You know, I don't want to say them. I don't want to say them. Like, I hope you all know, like, all these bad terms people say. Right. But even something like, to say, to call, like, something stupid, for example, you walk past, it is something, it's a character of people. Let's say, for example, you stub your toe on the door. Stupid door. I mean, it's kind of things, it does show a bad character. Why are you calling the door stupid boy? What's like, seriously? But people do that, right? They stub their toe, it's a stupid door, stupid chair, stupid, stupid what, stool, whatever. It kind of laughable. It's so silly, ya Allah. But people do it. But anyway, what I'm talking about is like really bad words. I've heard people call each other really bad words. Between husband and wife, I've heard people say really bad words to each other. And I really like, it's so filthy. I don't want to say the words, okay? But it's just filthy words, any people say to each other. Now, like, or they curse and they say curse words, right? No, if bad things happen, say astaghfirullah. Astaghfirullah al-azim, right? Say la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Right, be better. Bismillah, let's be better. Okay. The last trait here is finish it up. The last trait here, العدل هو القدرة على ضبط الجوارح تحت إشارة الشرع والعقل وفروع هذه وفروع هذه الأمهات. So justice, it is the ability to control one's limbs according to the directives of a divine law of the Sharia. Intellect and all other qualities are derived from the four principal sources of the character. The four, ouch. Sorry, my cat. Ouch. Okay. Right. Now, so it is derived from the four principal sources of good character. So the last line is actually separated, right? So basically, it is, so all these four, from these four, you will find good character. And inshallah, in this book, he will expand. He will expand on these four. And inshallah, he will also mention how do we develop this four in ourselves, inshallah. And it's really hearing this over and over again every week, right? And trying to implement. I myself, I'm trying to implement this. I'm really trying my best to implement. I know myself, there are certain things in my life there's certain things that issues that I just cannot, you know, um, as I say, let it pass, right? There are things that you know in your life, you just can't let go or can't let it pass. And we have to, because the only one who's suffering or only one who is hurting with you holding all this negativity is you. There's the only person who's hurting is you. Okay. Right. So just try our best, inshallah. Make our intentions, bismillah. Ask Allah to ouch. Wait, Jen, my cat is stuck. Ouch. See when they get stuck, their claws get stuck. Yeah, Allah. Okay. Um now, right? So I was saying that. Okay. So inshallah we will try our best to implement what we're learning here. Bismillah. And you will see improvement, inshallah, in our intentions. We'll see improvement in our character as we go along. And you find yourself getting happier, you know? You'll find yourself getting happier and you'll be able to give people their rights. Once you stop harboring negativity towards people, you will begin to give people their rights and above their rights. You'll be able to, inshallah. Okay, inshallah. We'll stop there for today, inshallah. Barakallahu fikum. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. This path of good character, right, is a very steep hill. Okay, I'll tell you all this. Okay, it's a very steep hill. It's not a walk in the park. Okay, it's not as easy as letting it slide. I think slide sounds easy. It's not. It takes a lot of your. It takes a lot of like just really controlling yourself, and letting it go. Bismillah. But inshallah, it can be done. Inshallah, it can be done. Inshallah. Okay, wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Ouch. الفاتحة أن الله يرزقنا علما نافعا والعملا خالصا ولا أرواح من الشيطان. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.